They laughed at my gifts. They laughed at me. They laughed again and again. Cheap. Boring. Useless. That's what they called them. Even my wife smiled at the joke. And in that moment, I knew I didn't belong at that table. But it didn't start with the gifts. It started earlier that morning. I woke up before anyone else. That's how it always was. I worked the late shifts, but I was still the first up. I went to the kitchen. I checked the list I had written on a piece of paper. Turkey. Wine. Pie. Toys. Books. Scarves. Cologne. Every single item on that list was paid for by me. Every single year, I carried their Christmas. And every single year, they acted like it meant nothing. Not once did they say thank you. Not once. Teresa was already awake. She sat at the table, phone in her hand. She smiled at every message. She tilted the screen when I walked by. I asked, "Who are you texting?" She said, "Martha. We're finishing details for tonight." But I knew it wasn't Martha. I knew that smile too well. The kids came running down the stairs. Excited. Loud. Arguing over who would open presents first. I loaded the car with food and gifts. Box after box, bag after bag. Teresa didn't help. She kept typing on her phone. Like I wasn't even there. The drive was long. The kids kept fighting in the back seat. The radio played Christmas songs. Teresa's face glowed from her screen. She didn't look up once. Halfway there, my phone rang. It was Carl, my oldest friend. His voice was low, careful. "Mike, I don't want to ruin today, but I saw Teresa last week. At O'Malley's bar. She wasn't alone. She was with him. Jason." I didn't say a word. I just hung up. My hands gripped the wheel tighter. My kids were watching me in the mirror. Did I explode? No. Did I scream? No. I stayed quiet. Not yet. We pulled up to Coral Gables. The street was lined with cars. Too many cars. Some I knew. Others I didn't. This wasn't just family dinner. This was something bigger. Her parents were waiting at the door. Her mother hugged Teresa like she was the only one that mattered. Me? She gave me a quick pat on the shoulder. Nothing more. Her father shook my hand without looking me in the eye. Her sister walked by without even saying hello. Inside, the house was perfect. Garland on the stairs. Candles on the table. The smell of cinnamon in the air. Sinatra on the stereo. It looked like Christmas. But it didn't feel like Christmas. Then I saw the table. My chair was gone. The seat beside Teresa, taken. Jason sat there. Her cousin. The lawyer from Atlanta. Young. Loud. Confident. A Rolex on his wrist. A perfect smile on his face. He leaned close to Teresa. He touched her hand. He whispered something in her ear. She laughed. Too quickly. Too loudly. Her parents looked at him like he was already family. And me? My chair was shoved into the corner. By the cold window. Next to the kids. That wasn't a mistake. That was deliberate. That was the message. In the kitchen, Tom was cutting bread. He said, "Mike, don't take it personal. Mom and Dad want the best for Terry. And I'm not that." I asked. He didn't answer. He just walked away. We sat down at the table. I held the carving knife in my hand. Her father stood first. He raised his glass. "Finally, Terry has a real man by her side. Young. Successful. Ambitious." He didn't need to say my name. Everyone knew. The laughter was sharp, cruel, immediate. Teresa stared at her plate. Her mother followed. "She deserves someone better. Someone who can give her everything." Applause. Cheers. More laughter. Teresa stayed silent. I cut into the turkey. My hand shook. Every slice felt heavier. Every cut slower. Then came the gifts. I passed mine around the table. Books. Toys. A scarf. Cologne. Simple things. Honest things. Paid for by me. One by one, they opened them. No smiles. No thanks. Nothing. Martha lifted the scarf into the air. Oh, look! Another boring gift from Mike. The room erupted in laughter. Her uncle slammed his palm on the table. Dollar store Santa. That's what you are, Mike. The laughter grew louder. I looked at my son. His face burned red. He looked away. I looked at my daughter. Her eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "Dad, please stop." Her voice cracked. She cried. Then Jason pulled out a velvet box. He handed it to Teresa with a smile. She opened it slowly. Gold earrings sparkled in the light. The room gasped. Her mother hugged him. Hugged him. Now this is a man who knows how to make a woman happy. Applause. Cheers. Smiles everywhere. Teresa laughed. She never looked at me. I sat there, gripping the knife. The candlelight reflected off the blade. Jason raised his glass and stared right at me. Mike, do you really think socks and books make you family? You've given her nothing. Not even laughter. The table roared again. Louder. Harder. My son stared at the floor. My daughter sobbed into her hands. And that was the moment I understood. This wasn't Christmas. This was trial. And the verdict was already written. They thought I was finished. They thought I would leave quietly. But they were wrong. This was their last Christmas laughing at me. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every laugh replayed in my head. Every insult. Every word. They thought they broke me at that table. They didn't. I sat in the kitchen at 3 a.m, whiskey in my hand, the fridge humming, the house dead silent. Her phone buzzed in the bedroom. She laughed at something on the screen. She thought I didn't hear. But I heard everything. Was I angry? Yes. Did I show it? No. Not yet. I kept hearing my daughter's whisper. Dad, please stop. Over and over. That whisper hurt more than Jason's insults. That whisper cut deeper than her family's laughter. The kids were asleep upstairs. They didn't know. They couldn't know. I wouldn't let them carry it. At 7, I drove to work. Same truck. Same route. Same routine. But I wasn't the same man. Every mile felt heavier. Every stoplight burned with their faces. Jason's smirk. Teresa's silence. My daughter's tears. At the shop, my hands didn't listen. I dropped tools. I cut my palm and didn't notice. A coworker asked, "Rough night?" I just nodded. What was I supposed to say? That my wife was planning a new life? That her family cheered for the man she chose to replace me? Was I broken? No. Was I tired? Yes. But tired isn't the same as done. At lunch, my phone rang again. Carl. This time I picked up. Mike, he said, you need to be careful. They're not just laughing at you. They're setting you up. I saw it. Jason isn't playing games. He's building something with her. I asked, "You're sure?" He said, "I'm sure. You can ignore me, but you'll regret it." I didn't argue. I just listened. I let his words burn. That night, Teresa acted like nothing happened. She cooked dinner. She smiled at the kids. She asked me how work was. Her voice was soft, calm, sweet. Fake. Every word felt fake. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She grabbed it too fast. Too nervous. Too careful. She said, "It's Martha again." But she didn't look me in the eye. Not once. I tested her. I said the bank had called. I told her our account showed strange charges. Restaurants. Hotels. I wanted to see her reaction. She froze. Just for a second. Then she laughed. "Oh, it must be a mistake," she said. But her eyes betrayed her. Her hands betrayed her. She knew I knew. Did I press her? No. Did I shout? No. Did I let her feel safe? Yes. Because safe means careless. And careless means sloppy. I sat with the kids that night. They watched TV. I stared at the screen without seeing it. My son leaned against me but said nothing. My daughter kept looking at me, then looking away. She felt it. She knew more than I wanted her to know. When they went to bed, I stayed in the kitchen. Notebook open. Pen in hand. I wrote down times. I wrote down places. I wrote down the lies. Every page was another weapon. Every line was another nail. Teresa scrolled on her phone in the bedroom. She thought I was asleep. She thought I was blind. She thought I was weak. But I wasn't blind. I wasn't weak. And I sure as hell wasn't done. Was this about revenge? No. Not yet. This was about preparation. This was about patience. Because patience is power. And silence is stronger than any scream. I poured another drink. I stared at the notebook. I stared at the clock. I stared at the empty kitchen. Every second stretched. Every second told me the same thing. They thought they ended me at that table. They thought my daughter's tears broke me. They thought Jason had already replaced me. But they were wrong. That night wasn't my ending. That night was my ignition. I didn't sleep the next night either. I couldn't. Her laugh kept replaying in my head. His words. Their smiles. My daughter's tears. It never stopped. At 2 a.m, her phone buzzed again. Same glow. Same quick smile. Same tilt of the screen. She thought I was sleeping. I wasn't. I was watching. I was listening. I was memorizing everything. Was I broken? No. Was I tired? Yes. But tired doesn't mean done. Tired doesn't mean finished. In the morning, she made coffee. She hummed like nothing happened. She asked if I wanted breakfast. Her voice sounded sweet, almost playful. Fake. All of it fake. I nodded. I said, "Sure." I didn't argue. I didn't question. I just let her act. Because the more she acted normal, the more I saw the cracks. On the way to work, she smiled at her phone. She laughed at messages she never shared. She typed fast, almost nervous. She thought I wasn't paying attention. But I was. I noticed every tap. Every pause. Every hidden smile. At the shop, I couldn't focus again. Wrenches slipped from my hands. Bolts dropped to the floor. My coworkers joked. "Mike's losing it." Maybe they were right. Or maybe I was just shifting into something new. Carl called during lunch. He asked, "You okay?" I said, "Define okay." He sighed. "Listen, Mike. This isn't just cheating. They're building something. I've seen it before. The family is in on it. Jason isn't some side fling. He's a replacement. Don't think small. Think bigger. Think bigger." Those words stuck. Because he was right. It wasn't just betrayal. It was replacement. It was erasure. That night I tested her again. I told her a lie. I said the mechanic overcharged us. I said money was tight. I wanted to see her reaction. She froze for half a second. Then she said, "Don't worry, we'll figure it out." But her eyes drifted. Her fingers tightened on her phone. Jason's money was already filling the gaps. Did I call her out? No. Did I accuse her? No. I smiled and nodded. Because silence was still my weapon. I went to the grocery store the next day. I saw Martha there, her sister. She avoided me at first. But I caught her eye in the aisle. I said, "Need help with that bag?" She froze. Then she said, "Jason's better for her, Mike. Everyone sees it. Just accept it." She walked away before I could answer. Better. That word again. Better than me. On the drive home, I repeated it in my head. Better. 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 They all believed it. Her sister. Her parents. Her cousin. Everyone but me. And maybe my daughter. At home, I found a receipt in her purse. Dinner for two. Wine. Dessert. 2 nights ago. She told me she was at her mom's. She lied. Again. Did I slam the receipt in her face? No. Did I yell in front of the kids? Never. I folded it. I placed it in my notebook. Another nail. Another weapon. That evening she left. To grab milk. She never came back with milk. She came back with excuses. She came back with a smile that wasn't for me. The kids watched TV. I sat beside them, silent. My son asked, "Dad, are you okay?" I said, "I'm fine." He didn't believe me. I didn't believe neither. When they went to bed, I poured another drink. I opened the notebook. Pages filled with lies. Pages filled with proof. Every page heavier than the last. I stared at the wall. I asked myself out loud, "Am I broken? No. Am I scared? No. Am I ready? Yes." Because that's what it was about now. Not anger. Not fear. Readiness. They thought they broke me at Christmas. They thought Jason replaced me already. They thought I was blind, deaf, weak. But they were wrong. I wasn't broken. I was sharpening the knife. I knew watching wasn't enough anymore. It wasn't. It was time to move. Time to test him. Time to step into his world. I didn't tell Teresa where I was going. I said I had errands. She smiled at her phone and nodded. That was all I needed. I parked across from his office. I had written down his schedule. I knew the hours he came and left. He thought I was blind. He thought I was asleep. He thought wrong. I waited in my truck. Engine off. Hands tied on the steering wheel. People came and went. Then I saw him. Jason. Suit pressed. Smile wide. Walking like he owned the street. For a moment, I understood the attraction. Young. Loud. Confident. But then I remembered his words. "You've given her nothing. Not even laughter." And just like that, respect turned to rage. Was I nervous? No. Was I ready? Yes. I opened the door. I walked toward him. He noticed me. He smiled like we were friends. We weren't. "Jason," I said. "Mike," he answered, like nothing was wrong. But his eyes flickered. He knew. And I knew he knew. We sat at a cafe table outside. People walked past, carrying bags, laughing, drinking coffee. Normal life. But this wasn't normal. Not at that table. Not with him. I leaned forward. I said 2 words. "I know." His smile slipped. He tried to laugh. He said, "I don't know what you mean." I repeated it. "I know. About you. About her. About everything." Silence. He tapped his fingers. He looked away. Then back at me. Finally, he said, "Then you know she deserves better." Better. That word again. Her sister used it. Her father used it. Now him. Better than me. I didn't shout. I didn't move. I just stared. Until he looked away. Then I said one thing. "You made a mistake. You thought I was weak." I stood up. I walked away. He sat there, pretending to smile. But I saw his hands shake. On the drive home, I replayed every second. His fake smile. His shaky hands. That one word. Better. It echoed in my head like a hammer. I stopped for gas on the way. The pump clicked slow. The cold air bit my skin. And I thought about him sitting there. Thinking he won. Thinking she was his already. At the counter, the clerk asked, "You good, man?" I nodded. What was I supposed to say? That my wife's cousin was stealing my family? That her parents were cheering him on? I got back in the truck. Hands still tight on the wheel. Breathing heavy. Slow. Controlled. When I pulled into the driveway, Teresa was on the porch. Phone in her hand. She asked, "Where were you?" I said, "Running errands." She smiled and walked inside. Like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't already gone. That night, she laughed at her phone again. The kids sat at the table, poking at their food. Nobody spoke. Silence thicker than ever. I looked at my daughter. She looked back at me. No words. Just her eyes. She knew. She didn't know details. But she knew. Did I tell her? No. Did I tell my son? Not yet. They didn't deserve that weight. Not until I was ready. I went back to the kitchen. Notebook open. Pen in hand. I wrote down the cafe. The words. The look in his eyes. Every detail locked in. They thought I was still blind. They thought I was still broken. They thought I would fade away. But they were wrong. That meeting wasn't closure. That meeting was the start of war. I didn't rest after meeting him. I couldn't. The way he smiled burned in my head. The way he said, "Better. Better than me. Better than the man who built this family." That word haunted me. Better. Her family said it. Her sister said it. Now him. Every time, it cut deeper. But cuts don't kill me. Cuts sharpen me. Was I scared? No. Was I broken? No. Was I finished? Never. I woke up before dawn. Coffee in one hand. Notebook in the other. I wrote his name across the page. Jason. Big letters. Hard strokes. Every letter felt like a nail. I wrote more. Places. Times. Words. Not full stories. Just lines. Her phone buzzed at 2 a.m. She smiled when he texted. She lied about the milk. Short notes. But together they built the truth. At work, I kept quiet. I fixed cars. I lifted hoods. I changed oil. But my mind wasn't there. My mind was at that cafe. My mind was on his words. A coworker asked, "Rough week?" I smiled. I said, "Just long days." But in my head, I wasn't talking about work. I was talking about them. Her. Him. Their long days were numbered. That night, Teresa laughed at her phone again. The kids ate dinner in silence. Nobody spoke. Nobody wanted to break the quiet. I sat at the table, chewing slow, watching her smile at the screen. She thought she was winning. She thought I was blind. She thought wrong. Later, I walked past the bedroom. Her voice was low, soft. She said, "Good night." Not to me. To him. She thought I didn't hear. I heard everything. Did I confront her? No. Did I rip the phone from her hands? No. Because screaming isn't power. Silence is power. Patience is power. Waiting is power. The next morning, I stopped at the hardware store. I bought nothing big. Nothing that would stand out. A small lockbox. A stack of notebooks. Extra pens. Normal things. Things nobody questions. But for me, they were weapons. I locked the box in the garage. Only I had the key. Every note went inside. Every receipt. Every truth I gathered. It all went in the box. At night, when she thought I was asleep, I opened it. I read every page. I added more. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Because every line was proof. And proof is power. 2 days later, Carl called again. This time his voice was sharp. "Mike, listen. Jason isn't just playing around. I've heard talk. He's telling people he's moving here. He's telling people Teresa's with him now." My grip tightened on the phone. "Who told you that?" I asked. Carl said. A guy at O'Malley's. He heard Jason bragging. Like it's already done. Already done. That was the phrase. Not maybe. Not someday. Already done. Was I surprised? No. Was I angry? More than ever. But anger wasn't my move. Patience was my move. Silence was my move. That night, the kids came home from school with bags. Inside were gifts. Wrapped. Tagged. From Uncle Jason. Not from me. From him. I saw my daughter's face. She didn't want them. She looked at me scared. My son just muttered. Mom said it's fine. It wasn't fine. It was war in wrapping paper. It was a message. He wasn't waiting. He was already moving inside my house. Did I throw the gifts out? No. Did I scream at the kids? Never. I told them to put them in their rooms. I smiled and said, "We'll talk later." Because that smile from me was scarier than anger. Because silence from me was louder than shouting. The next morning, I saw my neighbor, Tom, while leaving for work. He asked, "Who's that guy I see at your place sometimes? The tall one with the car?" I said, "Just family." He nodded. But I saw it in his eyes. He knew something was off. Even strangers could see it now. At the shop, a customer dropped a receipt. I picked it up. It was from the same jewelry store Teresa used. I held it for a moment, then gave it back. The man smiled and said, "For my wife. Anniversary." I smiled back. But inside I burned. Because my wife's anniversary gift had gone to someone else. That night, Teresa put on a new dress. She didn't ask me if I liked it. She didn't even tell me where it came from. But I knew. Not from me. From him. The kids noticed too. My son whispered, "Dad, is everything okay?" I put a hand on his shoulder. I said, "We're fine." But he didn't believe me. And maybe he was right. Every lie piled higher. Every gift cut deeper. Every smile from her phone felt like another knife. Did I quit? No. Did I give up? No. Did I stop building my case? Never. Because while they laughed, I was writing. While they plotted, I was collecting. While they thought I was gone, I was here. They thought I had nothing. But I had everything. I had silence. I had patience. And I had proof. They thought they buried me at Christmas. They thought Jason replaced me already. They thought I was finished. But they were wrong. This wasn't preparation. This was the countdown. I knew my kids were breaking. I saw it in their eyes. They didn't have to say it. They didn't need to explain. I knew. And it cut deeper than anything Jason ever said. My daughter stopped smiling at breakfast. She stared at her plate, pushing food around. She whispered, "Mom's always gone now." I heard it. She didn't think I did. But I heard everything. My son slammed his backpack one morning. He said, "Why does he buy us things? Why him? Not you?" I wanted to answer. I wanted to tell him everything. But I couldn't. Not yet. Was I angry? Yes. Was I humiliated? More than ever. Did I let them see it? No. At school drop-off, I saw Teresa's sister. She smiled like she pitied me. She said, "The kid's like Jason. You should accept it." Accept it? Accept another man in my place? Accept my children calling him family? No. Never. That night, the kids sat in silence at dinner. They didn't eat much. Teresa kept laughing at her phone. Louder. Bolder. Like she wanted me to notice. Like she wanted them to see. And maybe that was the worst part. She didn't care about hiding anymore. Not from me. Not from the kids. After dinner, my daughter came to me. Her eyes were red. She whispered, "Dad, is it true? Is Mom leaving?" I froze. I wanted to say no. I wanted to protect her. But lies wouldn't save her. Not anymore. I said, "Whatever happens, I'm not leaving you." She cried. She hugged me tight. She said, "I don't want him here." Neither did I. Later that night, my son knocked on my door. He said, "I saw her, Dad. At school pickup. She wasn't alone." He didn't need to say the name. I knew. He knew. We all knew. Did I scream at her? No. Did I call Jason? Not yet. Did I let my kids see me crack? Never. Because silence was still my weapon. Patience was still my shield. And my children weren't just victims. They were witnesses now. Witnesses to every laugh, every lie, every betrayal. One evening, I heard shouting in the living room. Jason's name came up. My son yelled, "You're not my dad!" Teresa slapped the table. She shouted back, "Then maybe you need a real one." The words hit like a hammer. Not just for him. For me. For all of us. My son ran to his room, slamming the door. My daughter cried on the couch. Teresa picked up her phone, texting like nothing happened. Like her family wasn't breaking in front of her. I sat in the dark kitchen later, notebook open. I wrote one line. She chose him over the kids. That was it. No more questions. No more doubts. The proof wasn't just receipts anymore. It was pain in their eyes. It was silence in their voices. It was tears on their faces. They thought I was finished. They thought my kids would forget me. They thought Jason could step into my place. But they were wrong. This wasn't betrayal anymore. This was blood in the water. I knew the day would come. I waited long enough. I stayed quiet long enough. And now it was here. My daughter's graduation. The perfect place. The perfect stage. Everyone would be there. Her family. Jason. Teresa. Every single one of them. I put on my suit that morning. Same one I wore every Christmas. The one they mocked me in. But this time, I wasn't their joke. This time, I was the one holding the knife. Not a real one. A sharper one. The truth. At the school auditorium, I sat in the front row. The kids walked the stage. Cameras flashed. Parents clapped. Then came my daughter. My little girl. The one they tried to steal from me. She walked with her head high. Proud. Strong. Not broken. Not theirs. I clapped louder than anyone. She saw me. She smiled. And for the first time in months, it was real. Not forced. Not broken. Real. After the ceremony, we gathered in the hall. Her family circled Jason. They patted his back. They laughed at his jokes. They acted like he was already the father. Already the husband. Already the man. Was I angry? No. Was I scared? No. I was ready. They raised a glass. Her father said, "To Jason. A man who gives this family pride." Everyone cheered. Everyone but me. I stepped forward. I didn't raise a glass. I raised my voice. Not loud. Not screaming. Calm. Steady. Deadly. I said, "You talk about pride. You talk about better. But let me remind you. This house. This family. These kids. They're mine. Every bill paid by me. Every meal on that table, bought by me. Every roof over your head kept by me. And you cheer for him? You call him better?" The room went silent. Jason's smile cracked. Teresa froze. Her parents looked around, confused, nervous. My daughter grabbed my hand. My son stood tall beside me. And that was enough. I pulled out the notebook. The one I carried for months. I dropped it on the table. Pages fell open. Receipts. Dates. Lies. Everything. Every secret. Every betrayal. All of it. I said, "You thought I was blind. You thought I was weak. You thought I was finished. But here's the truth. I'm still here. And you. I pointed at Jason. You're nothing but a parasite in a suit. Gasps filled the room. Whispers spread. Jason tried to speak, but his voice cracked. Teresa grabbed his arm. Her father muttered, "Maybe we should step outside." But it was too late. The truth was already out. Was it dramatic? No. Was it theatrical? No. It was simple. It was cold. It was final. Jason stood there, pale, shaking. He had no words. Teresa looked at the kids. They didn't look back. They looked at me. Only me. And in that moment I knew. I won. Not with fists. Not with screams. But with silence. With patience. With truth. They thought I was gone. They thought Jason replaced me. They thought I was finished. But they were wrong. Subscribe. 1 second for you, but a big deal for me.